So if you haven't been living under a rock since 2017, you've probably heard of a game called Doki Doki Literature Club, a horror visual novel that started that whole rancid wave of games that seem normal but then take a very sharp turn onto buggery street and devolve into horror and violence. See also Sonic.exe, Amanda the Adventurer, and the rancid splat that is Five Nights at Freddy's. I recently picked Doki Doki Literature Club up again after not playing it for about 6 months. I streamed it in late 2024. Nothing really happened after an hour of playtime, so I got bored and decided not to stream it again. From my own playtime, I've calculated that the game takes around 2 and a bit hours for anything scary to actually happen, which brings me on to my first complaint. The game is on an extremely slow boil to the point where it's actually really boring. One of the very few horror games that gets slow pacing right is Alien Isolation, because the game is fucking with you in very subtle ways throughout the first hour or so of playtime, so you're constantly led to believe that something is wrong, and when the alien does actually show up, it's bloody terrifying. Doki Doki, on the other hand, doesn't do this, like, at all. You're led to believe it's a normal anime visual novel for just a tiny bit longer than it takes to stop being novel. The other big issue that I have with the game is the way that the horror itself is done. Because, do you want to know what scene just completely lost the game for me? It was the moment where the character Sayori commits self-deletion. I'm having to talk around this, otherwise the YouTube police are going to snipe me. Now, the actual self-deletion itself was quite harrowing, and Sayori's depression was portrayed with a slightly uncomfortable realism that honestly made me really feel for the character. But when the player actually finds her hanging there, the screen is suddenly filled with glitch effects and stock spooky sound effects and, you know, silly horror stuff. There's absolutely no subtlety to it. It's kind of just thrown in your face all at the same time with all these random sound effects and glitches. There's just no subtlety or nuance to it. The scene would have been so much more effective if it was in total silence. That way the player actually has a chance to comprehend what they're seeing, rather than have a whole bunch of glitch effects going in their face. You know it's bad when a scene from Professor Layton and the Curious Village where a character turns up dead because he was poisoned got more of a reaction out of me than a girl committing self-deletion. And do you want to know why? Because it was in total silence aside from a small, almost indistinguishable audio stinger. Silence is good for dramatic effect. Alien or the Blair Witch Project wouldn't have been nearly as terrifying as they are if you had some spooky stinger playing every 15 seconds. But hey, that's just my opinion. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next short.